Maryland basketball needs a star in the portal.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And I'm also doing work at InsideBlackandGold.net. So make sure you guys head over to InsideBlackandGold.net for all your latest Terps news. And today's episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. I'm here to tell you guys that Maryland basketball and Coach Buzz Williams need to get a star from the portal. I like the start to the transfer portal. I like the way that Buzz Williams has started recruiting in the portal. I like the couple of guys. I like the 3 guys that we have brought in. I think it's a pretty strong start for Maryland basketball in terms of the 3 different players that we got. Of course, we got the 2 kids from Texas A&M. Pharrell Payne, who I think is going to be really solid for us. And then we also bring in the Solomon Thomas kid, who also was at Texas A&M last year. But overall, I think that Maryland definitely needs to get more from the portal, and I think we're going to need a star. Like I said, I like Solomon Washington, excuse me. I don't know if I said Solomon Thomas at first. I meant Solomon Washington. I like him. I like his game. I think he's a role player. I think Payne can come in and be our starting center or one of our starting bigs right away. I think he's really solid. And the kid we got from Indiana, I talked about it yesterday. I think these are really solid commitments. I like Miles Rice. I think he's been a really good player over the last couple of years in college basketball. I thought he had a solid year at Indiana, but I think he can really blow up and become a really solid guard in the Big Ten. And I think he has a chance to be really good. He had a couple of huge games last year for Indiana. He had a huge game against Maryland. But these guys aren't quite the level of players that are going to get us to be a top 5 team in the Big Ten or a top 6 team in the Big Ten. And expectations, I've said for year one, are going to be somewhat low for Buzz Williams. Obviously, we want him to come in and win right away. Obviously, we want to be a really solid seed in the tournament in March Madness. We just watched the Florida Gators last night in a really good basketball game. I don't know if you guys were able to catch the national championship game. I'm guessing a lot of you guys that watched this were able to, but a really good game, a really solid national championship game where they couldn't get off the last shot. And I think we want a Maryland team that's going to be there one day. And we hope that Buzz Williams can get us to the Final Four, to the Elite Eight, and to get us to some of those weekends and to get us to some of those rounds that are really tough to get to. But the year one expectation, I have to say, can't be super high. You do have to give Buzz Williams time. You do have to let him bring in his guys. And I think he's done a pretty good job of doing that right away. Like I said, I like Miles Rice's game. I think he can really kind of blow up and take a huge leap this year. I know he averaged 10 last year for Indiana. I think he can be more of a 13 guy, similar to kind of how Rodney Rice was last year. We'll talk more about later. And then I also really like Payne. He really came on in the tournament, getting 26 points in a tournament game and then 24 points in the other tournament game in the 2 games that Texas A&M ended up playing in the tournament against Michigan and Yale. I like those 2 players, and I think Solomon really does bring us a really solid bench option and a depth piece. But I'm telling you, if we want to be somewhere decent next year, and like I said, I want to emphasize year one expectations. I don't expect us to blow up. I don't expect us to go crazy, but still, Buzz Williams wants to win right away. Nobody's telling him that. And I think for him to have the team that he wants to have the potential that he wants to have for next year, we need to bring in some type of star in the portal. We need some type of guy that can lead our team, a guy that's a really big difference maker. Right now, we have good players, but I don't know if we have a difference maker. And last year, I thought Derek Queen is a definition of somebody that's a difference maker. And I don't know if we can get one of those types of guys in the portal. I don't know exactly who's still in the portal, but I know there are some really good players, and we can continue to fill out this roster with really solid players. But you need some punch in your lineup in today's game. You can't just walk in there with 6 role players or 6 decent guys and expect to do something special in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's way too good of a conference. There's way too many good teams, and it's only going to continue to get harder to be able to win it with some of the teams that are coming up, some of the coaches that continue to be coach at a really high level. Like, teams are getting better. Like, take a team like Michigan, for example. I don't know if you guys have seen what Michigan has done this year in the portal, but they've absolutely dominated it with their new coach. He's done a really good job, did a really good job in year one. I think Michigan, what were they, a 5 seed? They actually beat Texas A&M in the second round. Coach Buzz Williams led Texas A&M in the second round. And now this Michigan team, they picked up some really good transfers. They're in a really good spot. We know what Purdue is. We know Tom Izzo, Michigan State. You would think Izzo is going to retire eventually, but he seems more motivated than ever to try and continue to make a deep tournament run, which that Michigan State did end up kind of doing. And you just know the Big Ten is deep. It's really deep, and it's a really solid conference right now. And I think that for me, if you want to have a chance to compete, if you want to have a chance to go to the tournament in year one, we're going to need more of a star. Kind of like you could say Derek Queen last year, a guy that just can get you a shot when you need it, just like in March Madness. He can drop 25 when you need it. He can hit a buzzer beater when you need it. A guy that can drop 25 on any given night. A guy that can really complete your team, because that Maryland team, I think, is still really solid without Derek Queen. I'll be honest. Plug in Geronimo for Queen. I still think we're a solid team last year. I don't think we suck. I don't think we're not good. But Derek Queen makes us a 4 seed. Derek Queen makes us the second best team in the Big Ten, whereas we would have been battling, I think, to be like a 7-8 in the tournament if we didn't have him. And that's kind of where I'm at with this team. I think we need some punch, and there's still a lot of room to grow and a lot of time to happen. So, but I do think in today's game in the Big Ten, with some of the transfers that some of the people have been picking up, like I saw Purdue, I think, got the number 1 player in the portal. I think there's still a lot of different guys that we kind of want to see choose Maryland basketball. And like I said, we like the guys that we have right now. We just started, and we're 3 guys in. We have a whole roster to fill out, and I want to see how that goes. But I do like the position that Maryland basketball has started with, and Buzz Williams has started. But we're going to need some punch. Somebody like Jameer Young. Jameer Young, even though we weren't winning because we didn't have a good enough team around him, I think that Jameer Young would be a perfect example. We need some punch in this lineup, a guy that can drop 25 any night, a guy that can bail you out, a guy that can go get you a win. We need that type of player in the portal, and I don't know if that's going to happen in year one. We might have to fill it out with just 5 really solid pieces and maybe no one that's a star, but you have 5 really solid overall guys that can all play at a pretty high level in the Big Ten. Maybe nobody that's going to be an all Big Ten first team or second team or third team, maybe 1 or 2 guys that could be honorable mention, maybe something closer to that. But I do think if we want to be as good if we want to be a tournament team, I'll say, in year one, we're going to have to add some punch to this lineup. We are, and I really hope the next guy we get does offer us some versatility, offers us some star power, offers us some scoring ability. And when I think star power in college basketball and just basketball in general, it's guys that can score the rock. We're going to need somebody that can really score the rock at a high level, that can do that at a pretty high level. I think that is important for Maryland basketball. So we'll see exactly who Buzz Williams decides to bring in. We'll see exactly how things actually come out. But I do currently like Miles Rice. I do currently like the 2 Texas A&M kids that we brought in. I like Payne, and I think he has a chance to be really good overall. But I do think that we're going to need a little bit more punch right now. And I think we're still looking for, I think we got 2 starters figured out. I think Miles Rice can be a starter, and I think Payne can be a starter, but we still need 3 more starters. But like I said, the year 1 expectation for Buzz Williams is low. I don't expect anybody to come in and really dominate right away. That's just not what I see happening. I don't think that's going to be this team, and I don't think that's how he wants to build it. I think he's going to be patient. And if there's a guy that he likes in the portal that fits what he does, fits his scheme, fits the way that he runs, that's a really good basketball player, he's going to go after that. But I'm really interested to see what Buzz is cooking up right now, because obviously Miles Rice was a bit of a surprise. The 2 Texas A&M kids weren't. So we'll see if there's any more surprises. I hope there is, but I do think that we need a star. I think we need somebody that can give us 25, that can allow us to win a game, that we can give the ball give the ball to down the stretch, all those different things. When you think of basketball, I think we need a real difference maker, and then we can really start looking at this roster as a team that I think is going to have a pretty solid overall with just how the first 3 ads went. We'll see how it finishes out. I just hope we're also more deep next year, but that's a topic for another day, being a little bit of a deeper team. So we'll see overall how that happens. We're going to talk football for the first time in a while. We've been talking a ton of basketball, everybody's favorite topic. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks. We're going to talk about Malik Wahsigton, why it could be make a lot of sense for Malik to actually start right away for the Terps in year 1. We'll talk about that next. There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute MLB showdown or soaking in the excitement of an NBA matchup. Finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until I found Gametime. Gametime makes scoring and last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer. And with their all-in pricing, you see the total cost up front, no surprises at checkout. Last minute deals, and you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and other things as well. You can grab last minute seats for the Maryland and save big with their zone deals. With seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, and the lowest price guaranteed. You can book with total confidence. Their lowest price guarantee means I never worry about overpaying. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. That's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So I think the quarterback conversation for Maryland basketball is something that is really interesting and something that a lot of people don't know exactly what is going to happen. But to me, I actually think it could make a lot of sense, to be honest, for Malik Wahsigton to actually start right away and be a guy that plays right away for Maryland football. I think we really like the guy. We like Justin Martin. We like Malik Wahsigton. And I think both of those guys are going to have every opportunity to play. And the Maryland spring game will tell a lot. That's going to give us a really big intel kind of where everything's at. And kind of we'll see who walks out there first. I'd be surprised if Martin doesn't. But when I look at the Maryland football schedule this year, I think it's the biggest reason why you probably, if you're going to feel like you want to go to Malik Wahsigton, he should probably be the one to start right away. He should probably be the guy to play right away if that's the guy that you're going to want to go to later on in this season. Because look at it. Maryland's schedule gets harder as it goes on. It starts off very manageable. It starts off easy, to be completely honest, and it should be games that we should win. And my thing is, it could be perfect for Malik Wahsigton to get experience early on with the early games that we play. It could make a lot of sense instead of potentially playing Martin the first couple of games and him looking pretty solid and then maybe playing a couple Big Ten games, and then we get to the middle of the season and he hits a little bit of a lull in a couple game patch where he just isn't playing well. He doesn't play good. He doesn't look right. Everyone's calling for Malik Wahsigton to come in. We lose a couple games, and all of a sudden Malik Wahsigton's got to get thrown in Big Ten play against a really solid Big Ten team. That is definitely a possibility and something that definitely I think could happen. And to me, if you're feeling Malik is the guy, if you're watching and you're like, this is even, Malik should start. He just should. That's just the way it is. Malik should start if it's even, if you feel like it's somewhat parallel, if you feel like Malik's the guy, you should probably play Malik early on. You should probably allow Malik to start early on. And so I think that when you look at the schedule, it just makes sense. Maryland starts off this season with Florida Atlantic, a team that's not that good in FAU, a decent program, but just nothing a Maryland team should be scared about. And I can see a world where both guys play in the first 3 games and then going into Wisconsin, you pick a starter. But if you're seeing Malik be the better guy, if you're seeing Malik with the edge, don't be scared to do it because he's going to have 3 games that Maryland should win really no matter what. He's going to have 3 games to get used to the speed, to get used to the offense, to get used to playing college football, and he can kind of play out there and kind of just go throw it around, and if he makes a mistake, it's not going to lose us the game. Like if he throws the pick against FAU, we should still be able to win the game. Northern Illinois, I think that's a team that beat Notre Dame last year. I know they beat Notre Dame last year, but we know weird stuff happens like that, and it was a bit of a fluke, to be completely frank. And I think that when you look at us playing a team like that, Maryland should be able to win. If Malik Wahsigton makes a couple mistakes, does a couple things wrong, it's okay. Towson the next game, same exact thing. And so when we get to September 20th against Wisconsin, we want to make sure that we're ready. We want to make sure that Malik is ready to go if he's the guy. Instead of waiting until, let's say, October 11th against Nebraska, where we're like 5 or 6 games in by then, and we're like, shoot, Justin Martin didn't look great against Wisconsin. We took a bad loss against Billy Edwards-led Wisconsin. He didn't look good against Washington, and we barely lost. We kind of want to throw Malik in there, but he doesn't have a ton of experience. He's only played a little bit when we blown out FAU in Northern Illinois. Like, I don't think that's the way to go. But there is the other side of it, and I'll tell you guys the other side. You play Malik right away, he doesn't look good, doesn't look great, doesn't look ready. It's really tough to take him out. It's kind of like that NFL thing. Like you can't really take him out once you put him in because the transfer portal in college sports is really big. Any second somebody can leave. Any second somebody can decide that they want to transfer, that they want to get out of there, whatever the case is. And then also, that for Maryland, that you just don't want to ruin the kid's confidence at the end of the day. You don't want to put him in there and it's like, oh, never mind, Malik, you're not ready. We're going with Justin Martin. Some guys are able to take that, but some guys aren't. I'm not saying Malik's one of those guys that can't, but it's just not something you want to do. I think. And I think if you roll with him and you decide he's the one you want to go with, you got to stick with that. You got to go with that because I don't really like a world where we're going back and forth, we're doing things back and forth, and we don't know exactly what we want to do. I don't think that's the smartest thing, but I do think that if Malik's showing he's a better player, we don't have to mess around. This is our guy, and I think we want him starting at some point in the season, and it's better not to throw him in later on the game. Later on the season. Now you might want Justin Martin to play his old team in UCLA. Maybe throw Martin in for that game because you don't know what can happen there. He potentially could he could potentially win that game and do something special there just because of its former team. Maybe there could be some motivation. Maybe play Martin in that game. But to me, Martin's not the future of this program. I think that's fair to say. And I think that Loxley would tell you that. It's Malik, and he's a guy that could be a 4-year starter. You don't want to mess with the portal with a kid like that. I'm telling you, he's got to. If he comes in later in the season and has 2-3 really good games, I promise every school is going to throw bags at him that needs a quarterback. Every big time program, people were already doing that. Like Michigan, before they got Bryce Underwood to flip, they were doing that. Like a lot of teams are going to start doing that, and you have a lot of easy games early on the season before you get to Big Ten play. So I do think it's something that Maryland football should consider. I like Malik's game. I like Justin Martin's game. I don't think you have to change the offense a ton for one or the other. I think they're similar in terms of their archetypes or player types, both kind of good athletes, both with big arms. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, this guy can run the ball, this guy can't run the ball at all. Like, we don't have to change a bunch of things up. I don't think it'll affect the team a ton. I just think Malik's super talented, super young, and has such a high ceiling. Now we don't want to mess around with this guy. We don't want to not play him and not maximize the amount of time we have with a guy like this, because you just don't know when it's going to be gone. Let's talk Rodney Rice. We're going to talk about Rodney Rice more, why I think the Terps really need to bring him back. It's going to go a lot with what I said in the first segment. Buzz Williams might need to throw the house at Rodney Rice. Talk about that next. So Rodney Rice, we love Rodney Rice here, and I think that Coach Buzz Williams might need to throw the house at Rodney Rice. You know, when you guys were playing, I don't know if you guys played the new college football game at all, but I thought it was funny when people would throw the house, or you would throw the house at a recruit. And I don't really have time to play video games anymore or anything like that. But when I used to play the college football game a little bit in the summer, you used to be able to throw the house at recruits and stuff like that, which I always thought was interesting. And if there's a 5-star guy, you throw the house at him to try and get him, or whatever it is. You guys know that played the game. And I think Buzz Williams needs to do this with Rodney Rice. I like Rodney Rice a lot, and he was honestly my favorite player from last year's Maryland team, him and Derek Queen. I knew Rodney Rice was going to be a big pickup. When he wasn't starting early on the season, I sat here and said, I promise you that kid will be starting by the end of the year. He's just too good. He's just too talented not to start, not to play, not to start for Maryland basketball. And to me, I know that there's a lot of people who say Buzz Williams might want to cut ties with the entire Maryland team, with the entire Maryland roster. I'm pretty sure Chance Stevens is still on this roster, but I don't know what's going to happen with him. He hasn't played in a while. He's been injured for the last couple of years, so we'll see if Chance gets an opportunity to stay and Buzz Williams lets him stay. We did bring him in as a portal out a couple of years ago because of his shooting ability, and I kind of still want to see what's the deal with that. Is that still something that could help us potentially? I'm guessing probably not. But to me, you probably want to throw the house at Rodney Rice. We might have to get past that thing where it's like, we don't want to bring in a whole new section of players, or kind of however we said it. We might not want to do that. We might not want to kind of go about it like that. We might just want Rodney Rice back, and we might need a small piece of the Kevin Willard era to stay, because like I said, we need star power right now. And Rodney Rice, I think, is potentially a star next year in college basketball. I really think he could average 18 points per game when he gets it going, when he starts scoring. And if you're running the offense around him, he's a guy that can really do a lot. And I do think he's kind of a guy that you don't have to run a play for, you don't have to design anything for, and you'll look at the stat sheet and he'll have 20 points, and you just want a guy like that. And I don't know how the portal is going to continue to go, but when I say we need a star, when I say we need somebody that can bail us out, somebody that can get us 20, somebody that can do some really high-level stuff, a guy like Rodney Rice could fit that description. Would I want someone else, maybe a big man that can do a lot of those things, maybe another guard that could do something like that? Yes, but I just think that Buzz Williams in Maryland's NIL and their whatever they be doing over there with that kind of stuff, I don't know how it works. I don't know where it's like you got to guarantee him money. Whatever the case is, you might want to throw some money at Rodney Rice. It could make sense. I do think it could benefit us. He's a DMV kid, like I said yesterday. He'll probably want to stay. And I'm really looking forward to the update of where he goes. If he follows Kevin Willard, I can't really blame him for that. I mean, Kevin Willard kind of got him on the right spot, because it's honestly Rice's trajectory, his career trajectory wasn't going in the right spot, where when he was at Virginia Tech, it wasn't headed in the right direction. He didn't get things going like he really needed to. And this year at Maryland really put him in the spot where he's in a good place now. But I just think that staying home potentially, and if Buzz Williams is able to recruit Rodney Rice, like I really kind of doubt that he's like, I'm just letting Rodney Rice go. I kind of doubt that. But we'll see exactly. I do think there's a chance Rodney Rice stays. He did say that at first, that there's a chance, but a lot of people are saying he won't. So we'll see exactly. I would like Maryland to throw the house at him, but that might not happen. That's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps.